big, big reparations bill vetoed in Maryland by a Democrat governor. What is going on there? Well, first things first, reparations for slavery or whatever else are not popular with the American people. Pew Research did a survey in 2021 that found that 68% of Americans said that descendants of people enslaved in the United States should not be repaid in some way. So, in other words, it's not popular among anybody. Now, here's where it gets kind of interesting because there are several states like California, if you remember in California when they passed this bill that would try to find how much people should deserve. Well, they've come up with stuff like this. The the older black Californians could be eligible for up to $1.2 million in reparations, which would cost the state hundreds of billions of dollars, upward closer to $1 trillion, which exceeds the entire state's budget in reparations. In other words, every time this actually gets passed, the recommendations that come out from whoever is recommending them are laughable. Now, this particular bill in Maryland was to create a commission to research how many Maryland residents have ancestors who were enslaved and recommend reparations that include formal apologies, monetary compensation, property tax rebates, and college tuition rate waivers, among many other things. Now, here I think is the big problem. Well, first of all, who vetoed them? Maryland Governor Wes Moore. If you don't know who Wes Moore is, by the way, do we like my Stacey Abrams just being all upset about this? She's a big-time reparation. Yeah, we need reparations. I'm mad about it. I don't know. It's fun to make fun of Stacey Abrams. Wes Moore, if you don't know this, is a political figure, obviously, because anybody who would be involved in the story is. But Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, is, I think, the dark horse for Democrats going into 2028. He's the governor of a state. We like governors. We don't necessarily like senators when it comes to our elections. He is a Democrat, obviously. Good-looking black guy, just happens to be that. Doesn't actually matter to me, but that is the reality. And I think has a better shot at actually winning a general election, unfortunately, over, say, a Gavin Newsom or a Gretchen Whitmer or a Kathy Hochul or, I don't know, J.B. Pritzker, any of the other governors of the deep blue states. So the reason that I think he's vetoing this is not necessarily because he doesn't want reparations. Again, I don't actually know what he thinks, but I don't know what any politician thinks. I think it's because he thinks that considering how many people are opposed to this, he doesn't want to be on the record signing a bill that creates a commission that's going to make recommendations that effectively does nothing. And instead, he wants to take the position that most Americans have, which is, it's not possible to figure out. It's not a viable situation. You're going to have people who were never slaves being paid by people who never owned slaves. It's ridiculous across the board, and that's why I think he's vetoing it, which makes me concerned about him because I think he is a very savvy political actor. Now, the other thing that I think is fascinating about this that I think people are going to make a big deal about is, well, it includes formal apologies. Well, why can't we give people a formal apology? I would venture to guess that the reason you don't want to give anybody a formal apology from the government is that, well, that establishes that the government was liable for something. You're not apologizing for something that you didn't do. And if you did it, couldn't you file a lawsuit? Again, I'm not a lawyer, famously not a lawyer. But if I had an apology from the government, an official apology for anything, right? I would be able to find some attorney somewhere that was willing to sue said government who admitted to a fault, right? If I have an apology in my hand, this is an apology. We, the United States, apologize to Jobob for, I don't know, not catapulting him to insurmountable success sooner. If I had this formal apology in my hand, I would say, well, this is an admission of wrongdoing. Here, attorney, please sue the government. So even the people that are like, well, we could just at least issue a formal apology, maybe, because I'm not sure if legalistically that would fly with people who want to get money from the government by way of some sort of lawsuit with the admission of being wrong. But this is not Wes Moore. This is Stacey Abrams, and she's a crazy person. But Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, I think making an entirely political move here vetoing this reparations commission bill that would have gone through Maryland. And I think he's doing it because he's an entirely political actor and he knows it, which makes me nervous about him. I think he's a guy to watch for the DNC nomination for president in 2028.